Hey,
Hey, hey, how's it going?
how's it going?
Happy Tuesday. I feel like it's been a minute since we've chatted.
I know. Although I'm
Well, we
like,
have a,
has it only been a month though?
what was that?
I said it's only been like a month.
I know. I feel like a lot of things been moving along with your progress and being in the build phase is totally different than our conversations in a cutting phase.
Yes, very true.
I was reading through your check-ins yesterday and I was like, oh, I'm excited to chat through with you some of these things. But like let's kind of do what we always do. Let's kick it off with some wins. Man, it could be personal wins, mindset wins. What are three personal wins that, you're really proud of, Steph?
Honestly, I would say big win is crazy enough, like being able to eat a lot and not worry about the scale. Like, honestly, like the scale last week just ticking downward, even though I was eating more, just is a complete mind fuck, right? Like, I was not anticipating the scale just going down every day, even though I was eating more. And so I feel like that's just a win knowing that like I am able to actually just eat and enjoy without having to worry about the scale all the time is huge. Honestly, like I was with my friends when I was texting you on Saturday and you were like, we're upping your calories today. I got so excited. And my friends were like, what's going on? I was like, you guys don't understand. Like, I was on a cut during the holidays. And now I'm like, and now I get to eat like 1,800 calories. And they were like, that's still not a lot. And I was like, I know it's not a ton, but I'm like, it's a lot for me. And this is really exciting. Like, I'm stoked. Let me have it.
And so remind me where you were as far as caloric range during the holiday during your cut again. What was
I,
like the
I
lowest
was
that you were eating?
at I was at 1,200 calories during the holidays. So sticking with that, what like from Thanksgiving through, I mean, I was on that through almost my vacation, right? So that was beginning of February. So 2.5, 3 months of being at 1,200 calories. Um, and learning how to manage around being around family, around sweets, around alcohol. Um, and knowing that you can live your life and doing all of that, you can, I mean, you manage to learn how to live and you don't die. You miss it sometimes. Like you feel like you have a little bit of FOMO, but it's not the end of the world. And now it's just like I actually don't know what to do with all of the excess calories that I have. Like I don't know sometimes how to get to 1,800 calories, 1,900 calories because I'm so used to eating volume. I'm so used to eating low that I need to change my mindset of how do I eat calorie dense? How do I eat something good for me, but know that I can actually just like I can eat higher fat things again, and enjoy it. Like, so I think that's a huge win for me. I think another huge win is just being able to increase my range of motion when it comes to the squats that I've had, just given that I've had injuries and knowing that I've sort of wanted to just like increase my squat rate weight. I think that was huge, being able to actually increase a little bit more depth on those squats, knowing that I didn't always have that range. That was a huge win, being able to get a little bit higher, a little bit deeper. That's just really nice to be able to do. And also, like, no one wants to always go to the gym at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. Like, I want to sleep in, but you got to do what you got to do. And I think another win is just being able to find balance between all of that, of like knowing that I can still have a social life. I can still have my me time. I can still do all of those things and be able to kind of prioritize all of those pieces for myself, knowing that this is not just a short term fix as much as it is a long term lifestyle change that I want to make for myself. And being able to actually show up for myself and say, like, I can be proud of all of the progress that I've made over the last like 6, 7 months that I've been doing this instead of just trying to lose a quick 5 pounds. I think since I've started, what I think I've lost technically like 7 pounds
Mhm.
total, but I think overall, like my clothes fit better, my confidence is higher, like I feel better overall, even though I know like my overall goal is to lose closer to like 15, 20. But I'm like, even just that 7 pounds, I'm like, I feel great. And I'm like, I can only imagine how I'm going to feel even more once I get closer to that like overall end goal.
That's awesome. I love these
Yeah.
wins. It goes,
Yeah.
you hit the three pillars. You know, you hit the three pillars around nutrition, training, and then your mindset and you developing that discipline. So I love to hear that. And as far as the 7 pounds goes, I know on the scale net is 7 pounds, but you've lost so much more body fat and actually gained muscle. And I don't know if you saw me post my in-body scan. I shared that last week
Yeah.
where I lost 7 pounds in 6 months, kind of similar to you, but I look totally different. And when I
Yeah.
actually use a scanner, I've lost a lot of body fat and actually,
Yeah.
either built or kept my muscle, which is what you want to do. So, I mean, you're
Yeah.
doing a true body recomp, which is you're hitting what I call the Goldilocks zone of hitting all these pillars, which is why you're seeing this progress and why you're eating 600 more calories every single day than you were during the holiday season. That's 4,200 calories in every single week that you're eating. Like it
Yeah.
makes sense why you're like, I don't know what to add to like hit my calories because it is a
No.
shit ton of food compared
Yeah,
to what you're eating.
it's so much food. It's literally like an extra meal every single day.
100%.
And I don't I'm like, I don't know what to eat. And like also I have to actually remind myself like, "Oh, you need to eat. Like, are you even hungry?" And half the time I'm like, "Oh, I'm not hungry," but I'm like, "Yeah, you should probably have a snack." Like literally right now, I'm just like hanging out with
Perfect.
my
There we
yogurt and
go.
some berries because I'm like, I'm not really that hungry right now. Yeah, you gotta do something. So I'm like, I'm just doing little bite sizes, knowing that like that's good for me. And that's something that I need to do because if I'm going to start increasing my calories up, like I have to slowly get there. And if I do these big meals, like there's no way I'm going to feel hungry in like 3 hours when my body's not being like it's not used to it.
Right.
So I gotta ease into that.
Yeah, I have a couple of strategies that I'll share with you on how to get up those calories. Because there was a point in my journey where I was trying to push 45 to almost 5,000 calories because I was walking so much. I was an in-person trainer. I was competing for physique competition, so I was trying to figure out how to eat that much. So I know exactly how you feel where you're like, I just had a big meal. There's no way I'm eating another meal for another 4 hours. Like I don't.
Yeah.
So there are
Yeah.
some strategies kind of like on the opposite of the cut. I was wanted to also ask you, Steph, a couple weeks ago, you were kind of in your check-ins, you mentioned you're going through motivation was dipping a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to cook, some
Yeah.
stress at work. Walk
Yeah.
me through now that we're looking back in hindsight, what did you learn about periods like that when maybe motivation's down and kind of things are thrown on your plate?
Yeah. I mean, realistically, it sucked. It was not easy. Like cooking was hard. I didn't feel the same level of hunger as I thought I might. I didn't get excited about food. I didn't want to cook, and that is not typically like me. And so I had to think about it in a different way of like, you need to eat to survive. And it isn't about the satiation as much, right? And it just became of like, okay, what can you eat? What can you make that is fast and easy that you know is going to be good for you because you need to care for your body. Like, and I think you texted me of like, you have to brush your teeth. It's not because you get excited about it, right? Like, and I think that kind of triggered to me in the same way of like, just because we don't get excited about cooking or we don't get excited about eating doesn't mean we have to neglect that. Just because I don't like doing laundry doesn't mean I just like put it off forever because I need clean clothes. I need like you can't do all of that after a certain point. So I think that piece of it for me was like, okay, just make what you can. Know that it doesn't have to be exciting. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be this like gourmet meal. It just has to work. And I think once I got through that, I was just like, okay, like cooking can be fun. Like do something exciting. Or I started just kind of looking on Instagram or on TikTok of like, okay, this kind of sounds good. And how do I find ways to make that recipe healthy? Add more veggies, add more protein. Like it's okay to take a non-healthy recipe and find ways to make it fit the
Mm.
macros that I want versus trying to search for a healthy recipe and make it sound good to me. Like if I wanted Thai food and I wanted like a coconut curry, how am I gonna make that healthier? I'm like, coconut milk is high in fat. Like that's gonna happen. But can I just add more vegetables? Can I add more chicken? Can I add more something to make it a little bit more like healthy in the fact of like hitting my macros versus being like, I'm just not gonna add the coconut milk and it's not gonna taste the same. And so I'm gonna still crave it. I'm gonna still want it later.
Mm.
Then I was just like, okay, if I do that, then at least I can enjoy it. And then the craving goes away and I move on with my life. And I think that allowed me to kind of get back into the motivation of wanting to cook and wanting to enjoy the meals, knowing that that's just kind of where I needed to be.
Mm.
So switching into that, I think that's kind of how it was. And then I was just like, just I cut recipes in half instead of making full recipes because I was just like, I don't need to make a recipe for like 4 or 5 people if I really am just trying to make 1 or 2 meals for myself because maybe I don't want that for more than 1 or 2 meals. Like just try to do it for myself right now and kind of go in that way.
I love that. That's a great tip as far as taking something that you crave that's maybe not as unhealthy and making it healthy by adding more volume to it, more veggies, maybe pulling back on the higher calorie things. I love that you're doing that. And I know when did you post? Did you post this past weekend? You were reading The Gap and the
Yeah.
Gain. I saw
Yeah.
in your check-ins you were mentioning that you want to continue to stay in the gain and not in the gap too
Yeah.
often. I mean, walk me through how do you notice when you're in the gap, and then how do you put yourself in the gains? Because, you do mention in your check-ins, right, perfectionism.
Oh,
We
yeah.
all
I
deal with
mean,
comparison issues, like, so
oh,
walk me through
absolutely.
what are we
I mean,
doing here?
I mean, honestly, like I haven't finished the book, but it is one of those things where you think about it and like being in the gap, you're just constantly like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough to get to my goal. And you stay in this like negativity mindset. And the gain is more or less like, look at how far I've come and look at how much I've accomplished. And I think that's the piece for me that I'm just like, okay, yeah, my overall goal is to be 20 pounds down, but I also accomplished the 7 pounds. And that's fucking huge. Like the amount of people who are just like, oh, I really only want to lose 5 pounds. Like, you know how hard it is to fucking lose 5 pounds? Like, it's not easy. And then also, you don't want to lose 5 pounds of muscle. You want to lose 5 pounds of fat. So, like,
Mm.
being able to do all of those things and remind myself of that every single day, like, just being able to shift of being like, okay, like, look at where I came from and look where I am now. And that's okay that I always have additional goals. Like, I'm always going to be goal oriented, and that's just who I am, but also remember where I started. Like, and I think just knowing that accomplishment is amazing. Like, and I think that alone just makes you feel like accomplished and excited and proud because people don't always take the step to even start. So being able to say, like, I started, I did something for myself. And even though it's slow, it's not super fast and it's not maybe as fast as you wanted it to be doesn't mean that you're still not accomplishing something every single day.
I love that, and it started with that first step. I mean, Steph, like, what would you tell someone who's on the fence of starting their fitness journey? Maybe they've tried a couple of things in the past, it doesn't work, and they're kind of stuck in this place, and they know there's something out there, but they're just afraid to take that step. I mean, you're in a totally different headspace now, but like, what would you even tell a friend?
Honestly, I would just tell them to take the leap and figure out whether or not they're worth dedicating time and energy into themselves. Because if they were talking to a friend or family member, like what would they say to them? Because I think we're our harshest critic and we will be a cheerleader to other people, but we never speak to ourselves in that same way. So why don't we? Like, why don't we dedicate time and energy into ourselves the same way as someone else would. So I think someone who is afraid, it's just like we are only standing in our own way. And the worst thing that could happen is you try and you don't succeed in the way that you anticipated, but it doesn't mean you're not succeeding. So I think you just need to at least put in the energy that you deserve. And I think that's the piece that people don't realize is that they don't always put in energy that they deserve for themselves. They put in so much energy towards other people. And for myself, like I finally decided that I was worth it. And I think they need to decide that for themselves. And it's okay to be a little bit selfish to say, like, yeah, I want to look good in that bikini or whatever the heck they want to wear. And like, do that for you. And doing that for yourself, I think is more meaningful than doing it for someone else. Like, it's not going to hit the same if you're constantly doing something for someone else. I think you need to do it for yourself.
That's powerful. That's real self-love. Is saying that you deserve it and then
Yeah.
pouring into yourself,
Yeah,
right? Like
absolutely.
that's what it is. Now I want to make sure I help you talk through helping you hit your calories
Yeah.
because I actually bumped it up a little bit more.
Yeah, I just saw that.
And so you'll see me kind of adjust the ratios as well. So
Okay.
when we're in a building phase, what we want to do is shift the macros a little bit. So when you're in a cut, right, you'll see that majority of your calories are going to be over to protein because protein is what's going to preserve your muscle and it's very satiating compared to carbs and fats. So when we're in a building phase, what I typically like to do is I'll bring down the protein, not too little where you're not going to be able to build muscle, just
Yeah.
enough protein. You're still eating a good amount of protein, but more of
Yeah.
those calories are going to go over to carbs and fats. And I'm actually going to be bumping up your fat ratio a little bit because fats have 9 calories per gram versus protein and carbs have 4 calories per gram. So you can
Okay.
eat, that's why oil, like a tablespoon of oil has like 200, 300 calories of calories
Yeah.
versus like you're eating like 6 ounces of chicken and it's only like 300 calories. You're stuffed, right? And
Yeah.
so what we're going to do is we're flip that around, less
Okay.
protein. So now you can be able to eat more. And then let's opt for a little bit more fats. So I wanted to
Okay.
ask you, do you know what fat sources do you typically enjoy or like?
And typically the way that I add in fats right now is cheese and avocado. I think those are the two fattier things that I will add into my diet
Okay.
other than like the cooking with oil, right? Like, and
Okay.
it's just like a teaspoon of olive oil here or there. It's really not like an excessive amount.
Okay.
Um, so I think that's, and then like, I think the other piece that I was thinking about doing is swapping out chicken breast and going for like chicken thighs because I know those are a little bit fattier
Mm-hmm.
and gives me a little bit more calorie.
Yes.
And then maybe doing a little bit less of a leaner, like, ground beef for right now while I am building a little bit more, just to bulk up the calories a little bit. Maybe not going, like, 85-15, but, like, going 90-10, right? Um, maybe going that route just because I realize that I'm like, I just don't eat a ton to get to, like, almost 2,000 calories a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what you
I'm
said
like,
was
eventually, but like,
you'll get there sooner than
I'm
you
like,
think.
just not quite yet.
Yeah. No, no. What you said is exactly what I said. The best things to do when you're going into building phase is switch out your protein sources for fattier cuts
Okay.
or percentages. And it's not that it's unhealthy, it's actually healthy. You need those saturated fats, especially from
Yeah.
red meat. You mentioned that you're feeling good off red meat. Hey,
Yeah, I was
nothing
gonna say
wrong.
my body seems to respond really well to red meat. Like,
That's
I'm like, I
awesome.
had that big old steak the other day, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
dropped weight. So, okay.
Hey, a
I'm
lot
like,
of women are feeling really good off red meat. There's iron in
yeah,
there, natural beauty. It's
yeah,
probably one of the most nutritious sources of protein that you can get. So I love that you're doing that.
okay,
What else? Avocado. I don't know if you're a fan of snacking on nuts. I love cashews. Cashews
yeah,
are very dense in calories. So even if you had that Greek yogurt cup, I would sprinkle
yeah.
1 ounce or 2 ounces of cashews in there.
Okay,
Now you got that's an extra 200, 300 calories right there, right off the bat.
okay,
Boom, snack on that. So
okay.
fattier meats, you mentioned avocado already, which is great.
Yeah.
And yeah, nothing wrong with pushing the fat content through your
Okay.
protein sources. You just making those swaps, you're gonna hit the calorie range.
Okay.
And it's not gonna
Okay.
feel that
Cool.
crazy.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm like, it's just one of those things. I'm like, keep seeing that number bump up, and I'm honestly like, I'm not less concerned about the scale now, which is
Mhm.
really nice. Like, I think, especially as we bumped up last week, I just kept seeing the scale go down. I was just like,
Yeah.
this is not supposed to be happening. Like, I just assumed I'd stick around the 145
Yeah.
all week, like during our build. And then I was just like, why am I down at 142, 143? Like, this just doesn't seem right. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense.
That, you know what that says? That just means that your body was in this undernourished place for so long, and
Yeah.
now it's finally we're starting to work with your body. You see, like
Yeah.
your body's a crazy adaptation machine. So when you nourish it, you train it, and you give it love, and
Yeah.
you talk to it in a way that
Yeah.
you're in the gain and not in the gap, I'm telling you that
Yeah.
it starts moving in that direction.
Yeah. That's why I was just like, I think we were in a deficit a little longer than it wanted to be. So it's like, it's happy it's being fed again.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to do this phase like right off the bat, but like, we
Oh,
did
yeah.
have some of, we did have your vacay, so it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It worked out. It worked out.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
let's continue in this building phase. We're gonna get you to like
Yes.
around
Yeah.
2000 in the next couple
Okay.
weeks. So
Okay.
we'll probably
So you
stick
said that I'll
around here. Go
probably
for it.
stick around the 2000 mark.
Most likely, at least
Okay.
for 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll continue to build muscle. The main thing is that now that we're bumping calories, you got to make
Yeah.
sure you're utilizing that. So the fact that you're like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
getting better range of motion, I'm getting in my
Yeah.
workouts on a Saturday. That's how you're sending the muscle building signal. Because just because you eat more and you don't strength train, you're not sending the muscle building signal to put those calories to work. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
like now let's really maximize your training
Okay.
when you're in the building phase. Usually in a cut, the main thing with strength training, you're just training just to maintain the muscle.
10.
So
Okay.
you're not really breaking PRs in your cut. You're there just to send the muscle
Yeah.
building signals, and you're letting your calories, dropping calories, do the work.
Okay.
So in the building phase, you're eating more, but then the goal is to then train hard to then put those calories over to muscle, which can then be utilized during a cut.
Got it. Okay. So I know that we have a new set of workouts. So you said that it's going to be 2 leg days and then an upper body. Okay.
Mhm. So it'll be 3 times a
Cool.
week.
All right.
Outside of that, like I see your steps, they're pretty good. I
Yeah.
know you're aiming for around 7K. So
Yeah.
doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as we're reaching for that 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, I think that's going to be a good
That's what I'm
amount.
going to aim for. Just like keep doing my after meal walks as much as I can. I'm like, work is getting crazy again. So I'm like, it's harder to like do the 20-minute walks
Mhm.
multiple times a day. So I'm doing a lot more like short,
I love
like
that.
micro ones, like 5, 10 minutes, multiple ones as much as I can throughout the workday. And then try to do a longer one after work. So yeah, I will let you know if I have any questions on the new set of workouts though.
Okay.
And keep you posted if I have any questions on that.
Yeah, review those. Excuse
Okay.
me. And then if you have any questions,
Okay.
let me know. But
Cool.
let's keep it up. This is awesome,
Yes,
Steph. I'm
I'm
excited to see your
excited.
progress.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds
Well, good
good.
chatting with you. Yeah.
You
And
too.
I'll have a good rest of your day, okay? See ya.